Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race recap show for Season 7, Episode 11, titled, Hello, Kitty Girls. My name is Joe Betance from the podcast Catching Up, and I am joined by two amazing co-hosts from the podcast, Dubious and 10+. Hey, Kitty Girl, Daniel J. Brewer.
Well, hey, Kitty Girl, Joe Betance. How are you this evening?
I'm doing just fine.
You know, if you were if you were Hello Kitty's BFF, what would your name be?
Oh, I think I'm gonna go with my old standard Latina Faye.
Ah, nice.
It's also my drag name. And from the podcast, from the podcast, Big Silly Homo and Cocktails and Cream Puffs, please welcome Donna Suggarz. Hey, Kitty Girl.
Hey, Kitty Girl. I think I would just stick with Donna Suggarz because that sounds like a Hello Kitty character.
It really does, actually. That's a good point.
There's always this part of the show where I mentioned the technical issues that we were having. So Donna Suggarz has gone somewhere to Soviet Russia and is now coming to us via satellite. So there's like this weird delay with the dial-up internet that she has in her house.
Yes,
there, so.
I've gone to hang out with Katya. I've gone to the motherland to hang out with Katya.
Well, we will work through it. We will power through it because we are consummate professionals.
This week, the girls play with puppets and don their best Hello Kitty dress-up. Pearl gives us her origin story, and Santino Rice comes back as a guest judge. In the end, Kennedy and Katya go head-to-head, but much to everyone's dismay, Katya sashayed away. Ladies, any initial thoughts on the episode?
No!
Donna?
Ditto.
Here's the thing.
When it comes to that last... Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead because we have a delay here. So you just go ahead and I'll chime in when you're done.
When it comes to that last lip sync, I'm telling you right now, she was overdoing it. Kennedy was just going to some crazy places, kept overdoing it. Katya was feeling the song and was amazing. And yet somehow no one noticed that fucking Kennedy was just getting crazy with that last song. Like, you're overdoing it. That's not how you should be performing it.
I completely 100% agree. I was getting into verbal fights with people in the bar that were saying that Kennedy just knocked it out and that she really turned it out. I was just like, no, that was so not appropriate for that song. She was like doing a state. The object of lip sync is for us to believe that you were singing the song, not for you to be a cheerleader on the sideline doing a dance to the song, which is all she was doing. However, that being said, as you guys may remember from the last episode, I said that I was going to go and see Katya this past Thursday. So it was especially horrible to me because I met Katya this past Thursday. I talked to her. I even said, I'm so glad that you're in the top 5. I really, really hope you're in the top 3. And now it kills me the fact that she knew that she wasn't. And she had to sit there and smile at me as I said that. So I'm sorry, Katya. She also says she doesn't listen to podcasts. So I know she doesn't listen. So you're like, oh no, we don't listen to those things. Because they don't want people to say mean things.
If there was a podcast that's about me, I would totally listen to that podcast.
Yeah, but the thing is, so I'm not saying that all of them. She's just self-esteem wise, she doesn't read the internet and she doesn't listen to the podcast. That's all.
What I guess is sort of a smart move.
So anyway, no, I don't know. We can get into it later. Go ahead and let's just talk about this train wreck of an episode.
It did sort of feel like they eliminated the person who should have been the winner of the whole show.
Yes.
Now, I know that we on this show have decreed that the editing is the third rail, right? We don't talk about the editing because it's the third rail. However, I'm going to break that right now, and I'm just going to say, everyone who has said this season that the queens are not as good or that that they just don't feel like they have as talented of contestants this year and everything, that is 100% the editor's fault. And by that I mean that your job as the editor of a pre-recorded reality show is to make the final group palatable, to make the final group compelling. So they knew who the final 3 were before they ever did any editing on that first episode. So the editors have just done a completely shitty job because we are now left with 4 final people that I don't give a shit who wins. It's like, it matters not to me. I have no emotional investment in any of these remaining characters other than Ginger, who I hate. And based on the way they've been doing the shitty editing, she's going next week. So it's basically going to be, Flazé Da, Flutie Doo, and Violet basically left. So it's just whoever the editor is.
I think Ginger's going next week. I'm
just saying, if the editors hold true, right? Everyone who's been remotely interesting, editing wise, and narrative wise, has gone home too early. So it's like everyone's like, oh, Ginger's going to win because look, she's such a loud, and it's just. I'm sorry. It's like, I know Katya is really funny and everything, but if she's not in your final 3, then you should have been pulling more narrative clips from those final 3. Because I feel like I don't know any of those final 3 any of the final queens other than Ginger. I don't know any of the rest of them very well at all.
After Trixie's elimination, Ginger washes off Trixie's lipstick mirror message.
What the fuck just happened? Hashtag girl bye. Thanks, Pearl. Stay plastic. Spoiler alert, Trixie Mattel doesn't win. LOL.
In this clip, Ginger shares her feelings about Trixie's departure.
It really hits home when I see Trixie's message. I'm sad that she's the one that I had to send home.
You didn't send her home.
But I'm happy that I'm still here.
Bitch, you didn't send her home. Sorry, go ahead.
Around the workroom table, Ginger wonders if Violet's lip sync number is looming.
Does it scare you, being the only one here who has not had to lip sync this year?
So y'all think my time is
No,
coming?
I'm not saying that. Just want to see you lip sync, girl, because I haven't seen it this whole season.
Really, girl? Ginger, how does it feel to have a weakness? I feel like you've been really strong this entire competition, but I feel like I really got to see your weakness this week.
I've got plenty of weaknesses, girl. What you guys don't see is every time that I go home, I sob like a fucking baby, and then I come back in with my game face on.
Now, Daniel, I know you're a huge Ginger fan, so that's why I pulled those two clips. What were your thoughts on what we've just learned about Ginger right there?
First of all, she didn't send Trixie home. Trixie went home badly. Anyway, I'm saying, you know what? Never mind. My point is it's not like you drastically outshone her on the lip sync for your life thing. It was just the luck of the draw. But the thing, I don't know. I don't know what I think about it. We're supposed to believe that she goes back. She can't even manage to get any moisture in her eye when she's fake crying. So I don't know that I believe that she goes back to her hotel room every night and sobs.
Donna?
I don't think she's capable of crying. I think that she's like a reptile and they don't have the ducts for that.
Oh my God, she is
But
from
of course,
Gatorland.
I've never seen a fat reptile, so...
I've seen some really big crocodiles in my life.
You know, speaking of the editing, and I probably get more into this later, is I think I kind of feel sorry for the editors at this point because I feel like these girls, the 5 of them, and you can really see this in Untucked, they really like each other. There is no ill will among any of them with each other. And they're trying to build up this false drama. I don't even think that was that big of a deal what Ginger said to Violet, and they try to make it seem like, oh my God, can you believe she just threw that shade at her? Right. But it sort of felt like it was considered a serious question at the time.
Yeah, and I don't give them any slack for this because they do these confessionals every couple of days. Like after they get finished recording, right? They do these confessionals every couple of days. There are assistants and there are production assistants and stuff that sit there and ask them questions repeated. They're asked 100 more questions than we ever see them answer on the air, right? We are asked to give more a narrative than we ever see. So it's like if it's not enough, then it's your fault. You should be asking more pointed questions. You should keep them in that seat until they give you what you want. Sorry.
The next day, Katya gives a little backstory to her character's Russian origin, and Ginger wonders if anyone else speaks in another language just before the Ru signal interrupts. After her video message, Ru enters the workroom and explains this week's mini challenge.
So, for today's mini challenge, it's your chance to prove it with puppets. Because why? Because everybody loves puppets. See?
Each girl selects a puppet at random made to represent the boy version of one of the other contestants. Using supplies from the Fabric Planet wall, the girls drag up their puppets and perform a routine. In this clip, Violet performs a routine with the Katya puppet.
Oh, wow, and who do we have here? That looks just like me. Hi, I'm Katya Slabadanabovich. Is that Russian? Are you from Russia? No. Go you, Katya. I can't wait to see more from you. Yeah, I can't wait too. I'm gonna go smoke something. Meth.
Next, Katya has a conversation with the Ginger puppet.
Hi, what's your name? I'm Ginger Minge and I'm from Leesburg, Florida. That's about 3 minutes north of Gatorland, which is where I learned how to do my makeup. Oh, wow. So alligators taught you how to do your makeup? Yeah, you see here, I just spray my forehead black and let it drip down and then I just blend that into my cheeks. Wow, that's revolutionary.
And here, Ginger performs a routine with the Violet puppet.
Violet, I think your name, Violet Chachki, is very interesting. Where does that come from? Well, I wanted to figure out what was beautiful and completely worthless. A tchotchke! I'm trying to train myself with this corset. I'm really trying to get down to 2 inches. Why haven't you gotten there yet? Because your fucking wrist is so fat and shoved inside me, and I'll never get down to 2 inches.
And see.
Oh, my God.
In the end, Rue judged Ginger and the Violet Puppet to be the winner of the mini challenge. Ladies, what were your thoughts on this mini challenge? Donna.
Frankly, when it came to, I know Ginger won, but the only reason she won is because she was self-deprecating. Like, the voice that she gave for Violet was stupid, and the only thing funny about it was her fat hand up the puppet's ass.
I'm going to do that rare thing that I do, although it's not the only time I've done it. I'm going to give Ginger credit for coming up with the something that was pretty and useless line. That was something that didn't seem like you could have pre-canned ahead of the competition. And, the hand up the thing. Although, would they have done the puppets before? But so I think, all in all, Ginger kind of had to win that competition because as much as I love Katya, she couldn't quit moving the mouth of the puppet, even when Katya was supposed to be speaking, not the puppet. And Leesburg, Florida is nowhere near Gatorland. Gatorland is closer to like Tampa than Leesburg. Anyway, the rest of them just really sucked. I noticed she didn't pull Pearl and Kennedy's because they both really sucked too.
Well, also because they were very visual. But, do you think perhaps that this is what I was sort of thinking? All of them actually seemed too good, too sharp, too tight, to the point do you think the writers sort of gave them like a script or a guideline, like, here are some jokes and maybe you should use these? Because they had to come up with these looks in a short amount of time, and the jokes were just too solid, too there.
Either that or they talked while they were making their outfits and stuff. You got to figure they probably took a good 30 minutes to an hour to make those outfits and stuff, and they were all sitting there talking and whatnot, so they could have helped each other come up with lines. Like I know at one point Katya said something like, well, the trick to capturing me is to capture my smell visually. So
okay.
I love that one. But they could have talked. I think that, and also I haven't been over to logotv.com to see the full puppet performances.
Oh, that's a good
yet.
idea. Maybe
it could have been
logotv.com.
It could have been like 3 or 4 minutes each, and that was just the best 30 seconds of it. So
that's a very good point. Donna, do you have anything else to add?
I'm going to go behind the waterfall, and I'm going to talk about behind the scenes because I have a feeling when it comes to these challenges when they've got a very short amount of time to do something, it seems like they do a lot of shit really quick. Like, you can somehow make this puppet look amazingly like this person, but you can't make a dress in 2 days, which makes me think that they have more time and that the show is just saying, oh, you have 30 minutes.
Well, I actually pulled clips for this show. So I have to watch the show like 4 times. And when I was writing the script, I initially wrote, you have 20 minutes or whatever. And then I listened to it, and Brew never says an amount of time.
Yeah, on that challenge, they didn't.
So they may have had a significant lead. I actually think this is one of those challenges, and there's some challenges like this. I think the dancing challenge was like this, where they have more time than the usual. Like, this was probably like a 3-day challenge rather than a 2-day. Because how would you put together... This is one of the few challenges where they had to actually make a dress and then make another look. How would you pull that off in a day?
Yeah.
So maybe they had a little bit more time to play around. Okay.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Just to go a little farther behind the waterfall, and I'm going to make reference to a podcast who got a cease and desist. There is certain things that... there are times that I do not think that these girls are doing all the work themselves. And that's all I will say. I will say that maybe they're getting more help than is being led on to.
I don't disagree.
Enough?
That sounds like
Do you think
makes
that's vague
sense.
enough that we won't get a cease and desist?
Well, why would we get a cease and desist? We weren't part of the show.
Yeah, we don't have any NDAs.
We could say whatever we want.
Yeah. None of us have signed an NDA.
Fine. I'm going to make reference to... Okay, so on another podcast, when they were talking about Drag U, that there was a podcast listener that I love was on Drag U, and she talked about the fact that those dresses are made. That it's just like, okay, when the camera comes to you, look like you're cutting, but the dress was made by fucking some seamstresses weeks ago. Like, So I'm really wondering how much is like assisted. It's like, okay, now just glue some shit on there. Like, here's the done puppet, just glue some stuff on it.
I do know from the Q&A with Katya the other night that in the tuxedo challenge where they had to do the half dress, half tuxedo, or the half boy, half man, half boy, half drag look, that they were given tuxedos in their side that had a nude half on it, and then they just had to glue their dress over the top of the nude half. So it's like, in other words, it was already cut and measured for them. And then,
which makes sense because they were all in that same elastic faux tux.
Right, exactly. And so it just had a spandex like nude side on it, and that was the side they had to cover with whatever dress that they were going to do. So you could have gotten away with just hot gluing it on there, like taking one of your dresses and just hot gluing it on there or whatever. It wasn't like you had to sew it, and do a perfect seam down the center of it and stuff like that. So when you get things like that, that wouldn't take as much time as you would think, right? It wouldn't take as much time for me to just glue it onto something that's already there, as opposed to, it's like paint by numbers as opposed to just sitting down and painting.
Interesting. Let's go into the main stage maxi challenge. Ru immediately goes into an explanation, and to help her introduce the challenge, Ru calls in the one, the only Hello Kitty. The girls go crazy, and Ru lets us in on the details.
Now for this week's Maxi Challenge, you'll be designing and creating your very own runway eleganza using products provided by Hello Kitty herself. Hashtag Hello Kitty girl.
Ru explains that although the contestants' dresses need to use Hello Kitty items, the final look needs to represent their individual style. Although Ginger got a head start as the winner of the mini challenge, she vented about her frustration with the challenge. In her confessional, she foreshadows the inevitable final showdown.
I have had my fill of these damn design challenges. Please don't make me sew again.
This is the part of Drag Race I don't like.
Kennedy's stressed about this challenge. Katya seems stressed about this challenge. These bitter old ladies got a lot of work cut out for them. Take your Metamucil, girls. This is gonna be a rough one.
Now, here's the thing, because I've always wondered this, and maybe this speaks to what Donna was saying earlier, but for Ginger saying that she can't sew, with the exception of the Siamese Twin Challenge, her dresses look, yes, I know they're glued together, but constructed in a way that looks like someone who knows what they're doing. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, you still have to cut the material. Yeah. You still have to... I would imagine the sewing would be sort of the easiest part, actually.
I agree. I think the Hello Kitty, because you could see it more clearly in pearls because she had the bikini on. So the Hello Kitty, they got a head and a full cat bodysuit, a full white cat bodysuit underneath it, and the hands and the feet. So like Violet, when they said that people liked her boots or whatever, those were just purple felt ribbons glued onto the already done cat boots, that they had. So it's like for the Hello Kitty challenge, they use markers and paint and stuff to do the faces and to draw on the cowl nose and the yellow teeth and stuff like that. But it's not like they had to sew those dresses. It was like they already had a thing. They could have just put a dress over it because they could have just put one of their dresses over it, right?
But they did have to sew their own dresses that they wore as themselves.
Correct.
Which, if you like what he's saying, if you look at Ginger Minj's dress, for someone who doesn't sew, that was pretty well made.
Well, I think it's TV well made. And here's my belief on that, because they were all gluing accessories all over that, other than Pearl, who just apparently just went and wore a slanket. But they all were just, gluing these accessories. I think really this was, they took a basic dress from their wardrobe and then accessorized it. And then that panel that Ginger was cutting out was not a wide enough panel to make a dress, but it was a wide enough panel to glue over the front of a dress.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think Ginger references that when Santino is doing the walk around with Ru and says, "Do you have some sort of basic
form?" Yeah.
Form, and then Ginger says something to the effect of, "Yeah, I have a basic dress with some padding in it."
Right.
So maybe you're right. Okay, that makes sense. So then, why is sewing such a big deal?
I'm sorry. Let me go back. Let me just clarify. What she was talking about is he was talking about padding. Padding is completely different from what Daniel is saying. He has a pair of Spanx that have the hips built into them. So instead of him having to put on Spanx, put in the pads, put on all the layers of pantyhose, he has one thing that he puts on. Now he's got hips and an ass. What Daniel is saying is that he probably took one of his own dresses, cut out that panel, and glued that panel to his own dress.
Yes. I am saying that, and I know that in Untucked, Pearl makes a reference to Ginger using all the hot glue on her dress.
Oh, okay. But once
again,
because
that dress was pretty well made.
We asked this of Donna a few episodes ago, but it's the same thing. It's like, you're going to go on Drag Race, or you're applying. So you're thinking, I'm going to be on this show. how hard is it just to learn a basic seam on this, just to sew, not to be, Project Runway style, just to be able to sew?
Watch a YouTube video on how to thread a sewing machine and use it.
It's easy to figure out. A sewing machine is not hard to use. It's a very simple thing to use. It is when people think that it is harder than it is that they fuck it up. And I've seen the machines they're using. They're using very basic machines. They're using machines that you would buy a child when you're teaching a child how to sew.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're not like Husqvarnas or anything. They're basically just Singers, I think, just basic sewing machines.
Oh, Singer isn't a good sewing machine? No.
But I mean, they have Singer is a. I don't know that it's Singer. I'm just saying when I say Singer, I just mean that it's a generic. Like Singer has many brands. Singer has some high end sewing machines, but they also have a very basic model that they sell at Walmart.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Back in the workroom, the girls stress about their looks as Rue enters the room. Let's do it again. Back in the workroom, the girls stress about their looks as Rue enters the room with a familiar face.
Hello. Look who's back. Oh my God. It's Santino. He's here to help you with your Hello Kitty eleganza.
Santino Rice walks through that door, and I flood my basement, bitch. That is one sexy man.
As Rue and Santino visit each of the
Flood
queens.
your basement, huh?
Yeah. We'll come back to that.
I think we need to have some toxic disposal after that flooding. I
Rue
think there
and
are many men who perished in the waters.
As Rue and Santino visit each of the queens, Rue gives advice, and Santino seems to just echo what Rue says. Apart from some flirting with Violet, the walkthrough seemed pretty uneventful until Rue gathered the girls around and dropped a surprise.
In addition to your Hello Kitty eleganza, you need to create a second look. That's right. You need to turn yourself into a character that Hello Kitty would be proud to call her new BFF.
Okay, let's tackle first the Santino thing. Am I wrong that he is not an attractive man?
I as an older gentleman,
Yes.
I am often hit on by people who I believe are far too cute for way outside of my league. So I've just come to realize that everyone has someone, and like to a lot of people, Santino is very attractive. He has. I don't know if you've seen him work in some of his workout photos on Instagram. He has a rockin' body now. I mean,
I believe he has a really good body. There's something very like Jafar from Aladdin.
But some people like that. Like I'm just saying, there's somebody for everybody out there, Joe. And it's
after going through the Holocaust. So Jafar goes through the Holocaust, and then also, girl, RuPaul is a tall man, and he towers over RuPaul.
He does.
He's a tall drink of water.
Well, since you're an old man, and since you're a man of a certain age, and I am a man with very, very low standards, I will say that for me, Santino is unfuckable. And even if he was offering, I'd probably still say, nah, it's okay.
Really?
It's also not even just the look, though. There's an awkwardness about him, like the way he was like following Rue and repeating whatever Rue said, and it seemed like he was trying too hard. There was a very it wasn't just the physicality of it. Because I'll admit something. I remember thinking he was kind of attractive when he was on Project Runway. But
it was a bad season.
It was like 15 years ago.
It was a really weak season. Yeah, and he was thicker then and younger. But I don't think he looks that much older than he was when he did on Project Runway. Anyway, the point is, I just feel he's like a really awkward, trying too hard person. It seemed like someone who had gotten fired and was trying to win their job back by impressing their boss.
What I will say is, and this is funny because I was watching this show with Joey Boohecker, our friend.
Your co-host from Cocktails and Cream Puffs.
My co-host, yes, from Cocktails and Cream Puffs. And he walks in, and both of us, without skipping a beat, say, why? It's like, here's Santino. And we both look at each other and just go, why? I don't really understand why he is there.
He probably still had a contract. Probably had a contract with Road Wonder, and they were paying him anyway, so they basically brought him in. I don't know.
I mean, I understand why they brought back the one from the Merle Ginsburg, because the challenge was kind of about her. Like, does Santino have some weird agreement with Hello Kitty that he had to be there?
Everyone knows that Santino and Hello Kitty are like this. So, of course they're going to bring back... It makes total sense for Santino to be there. Maybe it was people who look like shit day, because I'm going to tell you something. We'll get to this, but Rebecca Romijn looked awful.
How dare you?
Shut your mouth. Let's talk about that giant horse of a woman who was pregnant next to her.
Continue on.
Back in the workroom, the girls struggle to figure out how to pull off their second look. This leads to some anxiety for Katya.
I'm not even finished with my first outfit, and now I have to make an entirely new character and outfit to go with it. And I have no idea what it is. The other girls have no idea what's happening in my mind right now because I am a master of hiding my turbulent emotions, but I am flipping the fuck out. I just feel like I'm fucked. Yesterday, I had a total panic attack. Last night, I started working on my Hello Kitty BFF character, and thank God I love what I'm coming up with, but I have to finish my main stage outfit, and I have, like, no time.
Now, Daniel, you're the resident Katya expert. Does she address her anxiety during her live Q&A? Because we never got to see. I believe her as someone who suffers from anxiety. I often hide it when I'm in public. But does she address this, or what's her story?
Well, she does a lot of jokes about it, basically, in her little live Q&A, kind of like her little shtick there. She is exactly the same in person as you see in the confessionals. She is flighty, amazing, wonderful, and just as funny as hell. She's crazy. The thing that you don't get out of the confessionals that you get when she's standing in front of you is she does not stand still. So she's not just making these crazy comments and like moving her hands around. She's like walking and pacing and like twirling and stuff. She's
it's called
amazing.
Withdrawal, Daniel.
She's amazing. She is amazing. I love her so hard.
I do too. She's great.
I was going to say, it seemed like the behavior of a drug addict. Do you think, did you get a sort of druggy feel from her, Daniel?
No, not at all. She was drinking Red Bull, and she was actually sick that night, so she had some Mucinex.
And do you want to tell us about the show now? So she did, how long was the Q&A beforehand?
All right, so here's what happened. All right, so I went to Providence, Rhode Island, which is about an hour and a half away from me. I went with Veronica Mann and one of her friends, Sam. And so we all go, we pile into the old car, and we head to Providence, Rhode Island. And Veronica decides that she wants to try to get into the drag show, because they do an amateur drag before Katya performs. So like right at 10. And so, Veronica is getting into drag as we're screaming down 95. She's like getting in, there's like duct tape noises and things coming from that side of my car. And she's like getting all in drag as we're driving up there. So we get there. She makes it into full drag. We get there, we walk in, and then she signs up for the amateur thing, which we didn't know if she could get into or not, but it turns out she could. So then she asks me, because she's wearing heels and a dress, she's like, can you go back out to the car and get my CD? And so we parked a few blocks away, and I was like, sure, let me do that. So I set my beard down, and I turned, I walked out the front door, and I was kind of in a hurry to get out to the car so I could get back. And so I kind of pushed the door open a little bit, in movement, right? So like I was in a rush, pushed the door open, and literally ran into Katya. I mean, like full body on, like ran into Katya in boy drag coming into the bar. And I threw my hands up on my face and went, and then said, I love you, and then ran away. So this is like her entire, she's short. She's a very short woman, but it's like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I assumed she was kind of tall.
No. And so I was like, I guess in heels she was taller, but yeah, it was just like, she like hit me mid chest there, but it was just like, so I ran away, and I was just like, oh my God, she now thinks that I'm some psychotic person. So I came,
which you are.
Right. I am. I came back, and then about 20 minutes later, Katya comes over to the bar in drag. And I'm the only one standing there, and we start talking, and she's amazing. We have a great conversation, and then people start coming up, and I then become the photo guy, because everyone's handing me their phone to take a picture of them with Katya, as if I'm like, the background, like, here, take our picture. Here, take our picture. So,
meanwhile, Daniel did not get a picture with Katya.
I did not get a picture with Katya, because the two people I was traveling with didn't ever offer to take a picture with me and Katya. Anyway, the point
But I'm sure she untucked long enough for Daniel to blow her.
So, wait, who? Katya? No. Then she goes and she does her Q&A thing. She gets up there and she does her little Q&A thing. And it wasn't so much a Q&A thing as much, well, it was, but it was the drag queen hostess of the evening that was Q&Aing with her.
Oh, was it questions from the audience?
There may have been questions from the audience that they like culled earlier. I don't know, but it was basically a conversation between the hostess drag queen and Katya. And that's where we found out. We found a lot of things. She probably talked for about a half hour or so. I skipped over the whole part of like Veronica did do her number, and Katya went out and tipped her. Because Katya, I'll give it to Katya. Katya went out and tipped all the amateur drag queens that were performing. She went out and she tipped them all, and she stayed and watched them, and she was great. And then later she came out and did her number, and she just did one number, but it was a great number. But she came out and did her number.
Oh wait, so Katya does her Q&A and then does one number?
Well, she did her Q&A, and then the hostess drag queen performed, and then another guest drag queen performed, and then Katya was like the closer, right? She came out.
Oh, I see. What was her number?
It was like a custom mix of some stuff that she had done, so it was kind of lip sync-ish in the sense that there was, different clips of talking in songs, and whatnot. But it ended up with her, and I paraphrase Katya, it ended up with her pounding her vagina into the floor. So,
what?
Doing the split thing that she does.
Oh, I see.
So. But anyway, there you go.
Well, okay. Well, on the runway, Ru walks the main stage in Japanese-inspired couture and introduces this week's special guest judges, Santino Rice and Rebecca Romaine. Now we're getting to the looks section of the show, so we're going to really rely heavily. We're going to turn to our looks expert, Donna Suggarz. Donna, how was Ru's look this week?
I love that dress. I don't know what it's made out of. I don't really care. It looked like fabric, but I love the color of it. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the inside of a seashell. Like, it's just metallic, but it was great. And that wig, like, there's like 15 wigs sewn together. That wig is live.
If you put your ear up to that wig, you can hear the ocean.
Yes.
And Santino Rice, we already discussed him in detail. How did we like Rebecca Romaine?
I can't believe you are dissing on Rebecca Romaine.
I don't think look, Rebecca Romaine was a beautiful woman.
She still is.
Still is.
I realized that I was getting her confused with last week that had that giant pregnant... Oh my
Alyssa
God.
Milano.
Oh, honey. Now's not the time to be on television.
She did like all of Project Runway All-Stars like that, though, didn't she? I mean, like...
That's what Taylor Latte Boy was saying, yeah. So, all right, moving on. So now the first thing, so we had two looks this week. So the first up, the girls walked the runway as potential best friends for Hello Kitty. Why don't we walk through these? Number one was Violet, and her name was Lavender Trinket, and she was Hello Kitty's frenemy. So she had sort of like a Paris Hilton, bitchy kind of cunty vibe to her. What did you guys think of that look?
I really didn't get frenemy at all from it. It just looked like an old-fashioned dress. She was actually really cute. I think out of all of them, she was the most realistic.
Yeah.
As something that you would see in a Hello Kitty universe.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it kind of started with that. I mean, we don't know what order they came out in, but it seemed like that was the one that Hello Kitty was like, "Oh, look, it's my friend," and then the rest of them just progressively got worse and worse. They were like, Hello Kitty was just like, "I'm a corporate icon. I'm a corporate logo, for fuck's sake. I can't be seen with this." And it's like,
yeah. Next up was Ginger. She came out as the country cow.
I've got to give her credit. She was the only one who didn't do a cat.
Sure.
Like, did something different. And I have to give her credit for that. I think it's a perfectly fitting animal that she chose a cow.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right? Because in a cartoon, like if there was you rarely have friends of the same, like when you're in the animal cartoon realm, right? Mm-hmm. Usually the friends are a different species.
I mean, usually a mouse is hanging out with a dog and a duck.
Exactly.
Pearl was Banji Beatdown from the magic land of Brooklyn.
I have to say that I think this was probably the most... I as much as I know we're going to get to Katya's, but I think this one was the worst because it was just so like... This is like if the most lewd people got together and thought of the most lewd cartoon character ever. That's what this one was.
To me, it seemed so lazy because she basically just put a bikini over the Hello Kitty white cat suit, the white felt cat suit. That's basically what she did, and then threw a kimono on over the top of it.
She pretty much just did her, but with a bigger head.
Katya came out. So all these girls did that. Katya came out, hello Katya, and she was some sort of like trashy Russian girl.
She was amazing.
I thought it was hysterical. She was the only one who went out there and gave you something hysterical and irrelevant. Like, I can't even say the word right now. Irrelevant.
Irreverent.
Irreverent. Yes, thank you. Oh, God, edit that out.
Hello Kitty loves my bad breath.
What did you think of it, Daniel?
I loved it. I loved it. She's not my girlfriend. I loved it. She was.
He's saving himself for Trixie.
I know he really. Yeah, Daniel. Who? Now,
all right, wait. Let's hold on. Let's be perfectly clear. I ain't saving myself for nobody.
Yeah.
No, he's opened and waiting for Trixie.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Trixie performing anywhere near you, Daniel?
I tried to find that.
His bedroom on Thursday.
Maybe we should open up that app that was on Cocktails and Cream Puffs.
I tried to find it. I tried to find it, but I could not find it on the App Store. So.
Oh, God. I hope it wasn't removed. Let me check.
Anyway, move on. Who's our next one?
Kennedy came out as Sweet Hips, some sort of black girl, like a ghetto black girl. It was hard for me to understand that one.
It was so weird because... And God help me that I'm not going to get this exactly right. Her voiceover alluded to something about eating fried chicken and playing on the monkey bars.
Yes, it was extremely racist. And I think they even toned that down.
It's just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. They clearly toned that down. There was a lot going on on that black girl, and that they didn't know what to do with it.
Let's call spade a spade. Kennedy came out.
Oh, you see? There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I don't think that's what that means.
Is that racist?
No, it's not.
Is it
that comes from an older
Is it because a spade's black?
No, a spade is, speaking of the garden tool, it's an old expression. It has nothing to do with color. Anyway, move along.
Well, now it's time for Donna's runway look breakdown.
And soon that will play.
Okay. Yes, girls. Let me start with Kennedy, darling. She reminds me of the roach dress from Hairspray, but with flies. Violet is giving you a Playboy bunny on the Jetsons. Katya, it's really if your mom was Catwoman. Pearl is giving you taquito realness, hold the guac. And Ginger Minge is the love child of the Pillsbury Doughboy and Minnie Mouse.
Oh, Jesus. Back on the main stage, Violet wins. That was really good, actually. Wait, I didn't talk about this. Yeah. You know what's so funny is the guest co-host Taylor the Latte Boy is on a show called Pod is My Co-Pilot. And Katya looked like what I imagined Taffy Carlisle Huffington imagined she looks like. It's like the fantasy Taffy Carlisle Huffington was Katya's look. Didn't you gonna get that impression? That
so are you saying this year in Vegas we should get Taffy to make a Hello Kitty outfit like that with the little severed...
I wouldn't be surprised if Taffy already owned one. I mean, the bitch already has a bacon and eggs dress.
Severed Hello Kitty heads around her shoulder piece there.
Yeah. And what was the thing with Violet's... What was that thing on her head?
That was just a thing on her head.
I really did love her look. I'm not gonna lie.
The thing on her head was the head of one of the Hello Kitty dolls that she just cut off and put on her head. She really wrapped herself in a Snuggie, put a belt on it, and then put a Hello Kitty head on top of her head.
No, we're talking about Violet, not. So Violet's not Pearl. Yeah, Pearl was just.
I thought you were talking about Pearl.
No, Pearl just walked out in a fucking slanket. No, Violet had that weird thing that she made, like that little. It looked like a mobile that she had deconstructed or something, and then put fur on.
If it had a mesh net on it, it's like one of those things that you put outside when you're having a picnic so the flies don't get on the food.
Right, exactly.
That is sort of what it looked like. Or, Kennedy had a really good line, something about being like a really fucked up gaydar or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was pretty good. Back on the main stage, Violet wins her second challenge in a row, while a couple of the queens are pointed out for being the weakest in the group. First up, the judges give their critique of Katya, followed by their private deliberation.
Next up, Katya.
Привет. For your BFF, loved your voiceover.
I actually love that you added some international flavor to the meow mix. I thought it was great.
Then we have the look, the eleganza. I'm a bit confused by it because the hair to me doesn't go with the outfit.
I think you're giving us hot, futuristic space mom who loves Hello Kitty.
Get out of my head. So 1960s stunt woman, coerced into prostitution on her way to Fashion Week in Chernobyl.
I think you could have taken it even further and really gotten your point of view across a lot better.
Thank you. Her Hello Kitty BFF, I happen to love. It was so wrong, it was strong.
It was completely hilarious and completely irreverent, and I think drag should do that.
There's absolutely no way Hello Kitty's allowed to hang out with this Russian hooker.
Huh.
Let's go to the eleganza. I did not like it at all. None of it went together.
I actually did sort of get what she was going for with the hairdo and the pearls. I thought it looked like futuristic, like Jetsons.
What did you think of the critique, Daniel?
Just listening back to it here without being distracted by watching it, just listening to the audio on it, it's like they by and large liked it. And it's like, this was such a strong Hello Kitty BFF. We really like that. And then, well, I just didn't quite understand her look, but it wasn't like they said like, oh my God, it was horrible, it was hideous or whatever. It's just like, I just don't understand the judging on the show.
Well, I think it's one of these things where, it really is the cream of the crop of this season. Say what you will of all drag queens. I'm just saying of this season, this is the cream of the crop, and it's getting more and more difficult to differentiate between the queens, and it could really be anybody. Thank you.
I was waiting to see if Donna was going to say it.
I really have to say that I didn't realize how much my runway look beat down was to what they were judging talking about, because they mentioned the Jetsons too, and I'm like, no, I wasn't copying that. I didn't even realize. I obviously wasn't paying attention. I'm kind of bummed now.
Oh, no one thought you were copying them.
I would never copy Santino Rice, too. You got sent home for lederhosen and you deserved it.
Let's clarify here. Neither you nor I, Joe, think that she's stealing it. Joey Buhecker totally would.
Oh, yeah, Joey Buhecker's like, oh, Donna stole that. Now, let me tell you this. Now, on RuPaul's own podcast, which goes back, now we're going to go a little bit behind the waterfall, as Donna likes to say. On her own podcast this week, they talked about her confrontation with Pearl.
Yes.
And Ru talks about how she wanted to unleash on Pearl and be like, bitch, get your fucking bag and get out of here. But then she said, and this sort of tells us where this is going a little bit here, is she said, I put on my producer hat and I thought, you know what? This is a really good looking boy and the fans are going to really like her and I need to keep her around for a while. So kind of giving you a little of a peek that Ru does sort of like think it out, who she's going to, what order people are going to go home and when they're going to go home. And it kind of tells you why Pearl's gotten a little bit of a pass this season.
Ru ain't stupid.
All right,
she knows.
All right, so this goes back, and again, I'm sorry, third rail here, but this goes back to the editing, right? It's like, keep in mind, and can I go meta for just 1 second?
Yes.
In high school.
That should be your drag queen name, Meta.
It is.
Yeah.
In high school, I was one of those geeks that did the Rubik's Cube, right? In like 30 seconds or whatever. With much practice.
Okay, wait. Can you still do that?
No, I haven't done them in years.
Oh my God. That's hot. I totally need to see you do that.
I was actually in a competition. Yeah, I did my turned in mine like that 10th of a second later than the guy that won. So I did mine in like,
oh my God, that's so hot.
23.6 seconds. Anyway, my point is that you can take a Rubik's Cube. And this Rubik's Cube, right, you can just sit there and kind of spin it around and maybe 1 in a billion chance you're going to get it into the right place. It's not until you have that mental aha that each cube of that Rubik's Cube only has one place that it can possibly be. Like the centers don't move, so it has to be, this face has to be the same color as the center. And then that means that this corner here has to have these 3 colors on it because the centers match. It's not until you have that aha moment that you can solve the Rubik's Cube. It's the same way with these reality shows, right? It's like if you just take the greatest clip every week and throw it together, and put it up there, because Katya was funny and so we're just going to use her narrative, or Trixie was funny, we're going to use her narrative, then yeah, maybe occasionally it'll come out right where Trixie stays around for a long time. But what's happening this season is they're missing that aha moment. It's like the final 4 should have had much more narrative, should have had a much stronger narrative voice during this season. And it's a completely different show that the editors have to deal with as RuPaul has to deal with. So I guess my point is that RuPaul, what they are seeing, doesn't have music, doesn't have the same production elements. It's like when Ru says it's time to drag queen for your life on stage, there's not a thunderclap, there's no sound effects, there's no, crazy music or whatever. It's all just there. She watches it and then she makes her decision or talks and makes her decision or whatever. That's their reality. We don't actually see what they see because what we see is part of what they saw plus commentary on it that was done after the fact by the people that were involved in it telling the story. So we get a much more complete picture than what the judges do. And it's like, I cannot say enough how angry I am at the editors for fucking this up. They're basically children spinning a Rubik's Cube around instead of solving this puzzle. Thank you. That's my meta discussion.
Donna?
That was hot. I only got half of it, but I have a thing for nerdy men. This is not helping.
Ooh. Love match. Next, the judges evaluate Kennedy both in front of her and in private.
Enough.
Well,
you're in Buffalo, New York, girl.
You're not that far.
6.5 hours away.
You drove an hour and a half to see a drag queen.
He's kind of like my brother. Like he's really like he's that level of friend that I acknowledge that he's super sexy, but it's at the same time like I know nothing would come of it because he's too much of my friend.
We are. We're siblings.
Next, the judges evaluate Kennedy.
Oh, should I play this clip?
Yeah, just play the clip. I've already introduced. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Katya. Next up, Newark, LaGuardia, Kennedy.
I'm so tired of that joke.
Tonight on the runway, it's kind of a miss for me. It's kind of basic what you did on the bodysuit.
To cut out all these bows and then sew them on in rows. I thought you were going to do some kind of amazing flourish.
Well, the challenge was to stick to who we are, and this is me, and I stand by it.
I think it could be a little bit more adventuresome for you to try some more daring looks. And I think that transferred over to your Hello Kitty BFF. It was a little bit sassy, but it wasn't enough for me.
What kept you from going further with it?
I wish I had some creativity like these ladies.
Well, actually, you do. That's why it's strange for us, because we see you in a way that you're clearly not seeing yourself. Kennedy Davenport.
Her character, it never delivered. She had an idea that just fizzled.
Her couture look was a basic host role outfit that she just glued a bunch of bows and pin cushions to.
You're going to mutilate 100 Hello Kitty dolls and take their bows off, and then you're going to use them like that? No, you're not.
Right.
Ask Hello Kitty what she thought about how she used all those bows.
Now, you know what? Let me tell you something. Before I go on the show, when I go to Wikipedia to get the lipstick mirror message.
Mm-hmm.
And so just today when I was scrolling down, it showed the real names of all the queens in the chart and also their ages. Kennedy is another one. She says she's like 31 or something like that. And I was like, when? 15 years ago?
Oh, please. That bitch is not below 40.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm tired of two things. Number one, I'm tired of Kennedy because I don't believe that she has anything left to offer. She hasn't given us anything that's other than excuses the entire season. But I'm so tired of the little triplet joke that Rue makes every season. It's like in this season, it's Newark, LaGuardia, Kennedy. It's like I forget what it was last. Like something Rome, Milan was one season, and it's like she just seems to have these fallback triplet things, and those people tend to stay around far longer than they should, just because so she can do that joke, I guess.
Kennedy Davenport, real name Reuben Asbury Jr., age 33.
No.
Bullshit. She's 43.
Bullshit. Was that on Wikipedia? You know you can change your Wikipedia, right?
Exactly. Because were you on the show, Donna? We talked about how Ginger claims she's 29.
Mm-hmm. No, she wasn't. That was last week when she was gone.
Oh, that was last week. Yeah, Ginger claims to be 29, Donna.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
If she's 29, then I'm a supermodel from Milan.
London, Paris,
Milan. Exactly.
After the judges were done deliberating, Rue called the girls back onto the main stage to announce the final two.
Kennedy Davenport, your round the way girl could have used more twirl. I'm sorry, my dear, but you are up for elimination. Katya, I'm sorry, my dear, but you are up for elimination. Two queens stand before me. Ladies, this is your last chance to impress me and save yourself from elimination. The time has come for you to lip sync for your life. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
We didn't really get to this. Donna, did you feel that the Kennedy evaluation was accurate? Do you think that she got the right evaluation?
No, because Rue said that they think that she's creative, and I disagree.
I know that Kennedy is...
I think that she's a pageant queen, and she's boring. That typical pageant queen look is so boring, and it's the same looks. Like, there is no originality. And when she had to be original, she gave you this shitty shit, and her death look is the epitome of her. That's her original. Throw a bunch of shit, have nothing for it. That's what she calls original. It's not.
Yeah, I think Kennedy is just, like I said, I don't think we can see anything new from her. She was actually really upset during Untucked that Santino said he wanted to see something more from her because she's like, the challenge was for me. It's like she was just very angry about that. Like, the challenge is that you had to be yourself, and this is me. This is what I do. I put ribbons on my dress, and it's like, it's like basically, so you're just basically saying you're boring. Okay, great, that's great. I'm glad it's you, but you shouldn't be America's Next Drag Superstar if you're boring.
Now, going back to this clip, Daniel, if you had your way, who would have been in the final two?
Pearl.
Be really honest based on the challenge.
Okay. Based on the challenge, and I will justify this. Pearl and Kennedy should have been the bottom two. Pearl, because her Hello Kitty best friend was the least amount of work done on any of them. She basically, as I said, you could see almost the entire outfit that she was given. All she did was throw a kimono over it and a bikini on it. She did nothing else. She did makeup on the face, or painted the face, and put a wig on it. But basically, you could see she didn't make a dress. She just put a bikini on. So that was just kind of right. But she walked out on that stage in a fucking slanket. That was the worst. It's like, yeah, Katya, maybe people didn't understand what she was going for or whatever, but it wasn't walking out on the stage in a fucking slanket. That was it was a horrible look. It was stupid looking. It's like, if you're going to do that because they had all of those different beach towels there that she was using, or those different blankets, then use multiple and make a pattern, because it just looked disjointed, it looked asymmetrical, and it looked like someone took a slanket, like a blanket, and cut holes in it. That's all it looked like.
It really looked like she was wearing a Snuggie with the sleeves cut off.
Right. But if you're going to do that, then cut it in such a way that the Hello Kitty logo is aligned on the front, and then, or maybe use two of them to kind of stitch them together down the center so that you have, dueling Hello Kitty. There's just a way to make it look prettier than she did.
I do agree with, someone had said this is the I don't remember if it was Kennedy or Ginger said that this is the kind of outfit that only someone her size could wear. Am I crazy? Does anyone remember that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think like a Ginger quote.
And it really is. It's an outfit someone with absolutely no shape could wear and get away with. If you were like, Ginger couldn't wear that because she looked like a fat dude in a Snuggie.
Right. Anyway, I think Kennedy and Pearl should have been the bottom two.
With Pearl going home.
Or Kennedy, either one.
Fuck you, Daniel. Fuck you.
I was so torn. I said from the very beginning that Kennedy should have been on the bottom. But I didn't see Katya being the other one. I don't really know who I saw as the other bottom. But I knew that this Daniel. Was Kennedy's week to go home.
If it was between me and Pearl, I would definitely be on the bottom.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here, Donna. You really only have Violet won the challenge, so you really only have two choices, right? It's either, if it's not Katya, then there's only two people left. It's either Ginger or Pearl. Those are the only two people left.
See, I guess if I'm looking at it that way, I guess I have to agree with Daniel, because if I'm looking at the amount of work and effort done to create an outfit, Pearl did the least amount of work. But that comes into me looking at it not on the runway, but looking at it from watching the episode, which we know does not happen that way. Now, if I'm purely looking at the runway, I guess I kind of have to put Katya in the bottom because of how kind of boring her look is and how the wig didn't go with the bottom and all that they said.
Well, according to Michelle, she only sees what's on the runway. She doesn't get to know these queens at all until she sees them on What You Pack In or on the road. So, and she knows nothing about them. This is according to Michelle. So, Rebecca, Romaine, and Michelle, at least, had no clue what they're seeing. So how would they know that Katya didn't do any work on the look?
True.
No, not Katya. I'm sorry, Pearl.
No, I understand what you're saying, which I totally get. At the same time, the decision of who leaves, if you look at the fine print at the end of every single reality show you ever watch that isn't 100% done by the audience,
it's
the producers have a say in who gets sent home. This is that example of where the producers had a say. We know that for sure.
I can't take credit for this, but style gurus Tom and Lorenzo have called RuPaul's Drag Race a variety show masquerading as a reality show, which I kind of agree with.
But I think that was the original point of Drag Race, was to make fun of the genre of reality shows, to do a kind of a drag thing on it, right? It was supposed to be over the top. It was supposed to have silly little challenges, and somehow along its 7-year arc, it has lost the fact that it was supposed to be a joke, right? It is supposed to take itself with a wink and a nod, and it's it's trying to take itself too seriously.
Well, because it got popular, and when you get popular like that, unfortunately, you start taking yourself way too fucking seriously because you want to stay on the top.
I don't. Anyway, move on.
After the judges were done deliberating, Rue called the girls back onto them. Oh, I already did that one. Katya and Kennedy go face off in the best lip sync battle this season. That's my opinion. But in the end, one person had to go home.
I've made my decision. Kennedy Davenport. Shantae, you stay. Bitches better beware.
Thank you.
You may join the other girls.
Thank you.
Katya, you may doubt yourself sometimes, but I have no doubt that you are a star. And a hammer. And a sickle. Now, sashay away.
I don't know all the words to express how insanely fucking grateful I am. Спасибо большое. Я так тебя люблю. Of course I don't want to go home, but I don't have any regrets. Regret is a dish that's served cold. No, that's revenge. Fuck. Please stay tuned for my one-woman show, Love Stories from My Vagina. Я забыла, что крылья есть лишь у птиц. That means my diaphragm just fell out. Will you pick it up for me? До свидания.
So sad.
Yeah, Daniel, now, I know you like to always report to us. What was the mood in the bar? What was the reaction in the bar when they announced she was gone?
It was the same. It was a shock. There was a moment after they said, Kennedy, Sasha, whatever, Kennedy, Shantae, you stay, that I think one or two people said, like, oh, they're both safe. And so there was a moment of fleeting hope from the bar that, maybe this was just a non-elimination week, that they were both going to be safe.
I thought that myself.
But yeah, when they said it was crazy in the bar. It was I mean, there's only 20 of us here in New Haven, so I'm sure the bar up in Madison or any other place that has a huge crowd. Katya's is out of Boston. I'm sure the Boston bars were going insane.
I was disappointed. I really wanted to see Katya go all the way. I had her in the final three, and so that is too bad. But I think it's going the way people had theorized online, that Kennedy's going to go far, and Ginger we know is going to be the top three. So I think it's going to be Ginger, Violet, and Katya.
So you think?
No, I'm sorry, Ginger, Violet, and Kennedy.
Ginger, Violet, and Kennedy. So you think that Pearl is gone next week?
Yes.
This is what annoys me the most. If Ginger or Pearl leave, then it just reinforces this theory. Why were they such major narrative voices? Why are Kennedy and Violet such unknowns to me? Kennedy and Violet are just two vanilla pudding, boring fucking queens to me because I haven't heard anything from them all season. And I know...
Maybe they're boring.
But you know what? Then that's their job, to ask better questions to make them less boring, or to tone down the other things. Or for at the very least, don't take Trixie Mattel's every single narrative voice and use a Kennedy or a Violet quote instead, so that I somehow feel like I'm connected to the final three people. Because I don't at this point. I feel...
What do you know about Courtney Act? Courtney Act was boring.
No, actually,
Courtney Act wasn't boring.
No, she wasn't.
No. Not as a drag queen. Not as a drag queen.
No, but I remember her.
What's her life story? What's Courtney Act's story?
I don't care about her story. I'm talking about the narrative voice of that season.
What was her narrative voice in season 6?
What was
Courtney Act's narrative voice?
She was one of the main narrators of that season. She was sitting there, and it's like she and Bianca had this little back and forth kind of a thing. But yet they were both a major narrative. If you went back to last season and pulled out who did the narration for that,
Well, Violet's on there a fair amount of time. You're right. They don't use Kennedy a lot, but Violet is on there a fair amount.
Violet is on there a fair amount. Probably more than I realize. However, it's just she's getting overshadowed by the more, by the better queens as far as narration goes, like by the Katyas and the Trixies of the world. And it's like, then it's incumbent upon the editors to say, you know what? Then I have to pull back on that, because my job here is to make the audience connect. Right? It's like they don't know that Trixie said this amazing thing. And if I don't play it, then they'll never know that Trixie said this amazing thing. And so they're not going to miss it.
No, but then you have this dilemma, which is, okay, you know what happens in the show. The editors don't get it till the whole show's done, filmed, right? So they know what happens, and they have to create this story out of it. Yep. But if you have a person like Kennedy's a perfect example here, who's just boring in these confessionals, who gives you nothing. You have to ask yourself, well, I know she's going to be in the top 3, or even because we know for sure she's in the top 4, so she's going to be around for a long time. But she's fucking boring as sin. Do I have an interesting show?
No, I'm going to disagree with you there, because remember, they do these confessionals every couple of days, so they know who's still there. So it's like, if Kennedy isn't giving me enough, and she's still there after 5 shows, like after 5 confessionals, she's still there, and she's still not giving me interesting stuff, then it's incumbent upon them to make her sit her ass into that chair until she does give you something. It's like, then ask better questions, probe at her, get her angry, take her quotes out of fucking context. I don't know. We know for a fact, because I've heard this and read it online, and I've heard it also. It's like, they do confessionals every other day, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
But they're required to wear the exact same outfit every time so that they can mix and match them. So it's like, you knew that. I mean, you had Kennedy there longer than the rest of them. So if she didn't give you good stuff, then it's incumbent upon you as a production person to sit down and go, you know what, back in episode 2, let's talk about that for a second, Kennedy. You know, there was a moment where you looked at Violet and said that you wanted to stick your fist up her ass. Tell me about that. It's just something.
They might do that, but then the editors don't get the show till the show's done.
But
they're not editing
all of. But no, they are. Yeah. They're not editing, but they have. This is the pool of what they have to pull from. So the production people that are asking those questions are part of the editing team. They're part of the team meetings to sit down and go, yes, well, we've got this narration. We need to set this narration. Right? They ask all the queens the same narrative questions, right?
Yeah.
Joe, tell me what we did today, but tell me in a way, you create a sentence where I didn't ask you the question, right? Today, we got this mini challenge, and then Ru came in and blah, 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 right? It's like they ask every single queen that same thing. So they have, at the beginning of the season, 15 different versions of every single piece of narration that we hear.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is, I think, to give the editors a little bit of credit, they have to work with what they're dealt, And look, here's the other thing, too. Kennedy's not super cute as a boy. Notice that they put a lot of cute boys on this year. So Fame had narrated a lot. Violet.
Whoa. I got to step in at this point. Ginger has had entirely too much airtime.
Ginger's funny.
Ginger's
funny.
Yeah, that's a fine line.
I'll phrase it. Ginger gives them sound bites. I mean, we don't know what Kennedy was giving them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Ginger, but I connect with her at least. I connect with her in a negative way, but I connect with her. You know what I'm saying? I understand that I expected her to be in the top 3 because of her prevalence in the narration. It's just that, the rest of them, I'm kind of, really? I was like, Pearl, I think, gets more narration than Violet, which is why I'd be shocked if Pearl... I just don't... If Kennedy goes this next week, then I can maybe buy a final 3 of Ginger, Pearl, and Violet from a narration standpoint, from a feeling that I kind of know these people. But it's like, I don't...
Ladies and gentlemen, our wonderful listeners, this is why I don't talk about behind the scenes, because we see what this last 5 minutes of arguing has led to. Right. It's because you're taking into account the producers and the editing to make the decision. Let's look at it purely from what we've seen. Let's just imagine that everything we've seen has been absolutely true, and this is what we're seeing. Who's the top 3?
Trixie,
Trixie,
Katya, and Ginger.
From this episode. So this episode, what is left? Who is your top 3? Who's going home next week?
Flazé Da, Scooby-Doo, and like I said, Kennedy has to go. I can only see the top 3 at this point. In my mind, I can only see the top 3 at this point as Violet, Pearl, and Ginger.
I absolutely agree.
I agree with you. I have it. Yeah. Okay. But then we're getting into what the show's presenting. So yeah. All right. Let's go to email, Daniel.
Okay, let's do that. We got our first email from Gravitas, who writes the subject line in Russian. I had to go and do a translate on it. It was "Do svidaniya." I thought for sure Katya was going to be in the top 3. Team Violet! ! By the way, I think Joe Betance mentioned in the last episode that the Thunder and Lightning was new. However, watch previous seasons. It's not new. There was a conspiracy theory last year in relation which every drag queen received a lightning strike got to stay while the others sashayed away. And then he gives us a YouTube clip. Should I play the YouTube clip? I don't know if I should.
I don't know. What I was talking about, what I meant, it is relatively new. It's not before season 6.
I don't know.
Because People at home don't know this, but while you pull it up on YouTube, people at home don't know this, but I made like a little Joe Betance lip syncs to Ru doing the lip sync for your life announcement, and that was from season 5, and
which is hysterical, by the way.
Thank you. And I didn't cut anything. I mean, the thunderclap's just not in it.
All right.
So
the first 4 episodes from season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race uses a lightning thunder effect on the queen going into the lip sync. Who wins that episode? 4 episodes makes it seem not by chance. So apparently whoever gets the lightning strike is the one that leaves. So this is a 35-second clip.
The time has come.
That's
Ready to lip sync.
Ornisha lady.
For your life. The time has come.
Darian Lake.
Ready to lip sync. For your life. The time has come. We should lip sync for
it's the one that gets the that went home.
So having watched, so they were obviously very conscious of that now. Having watched these a million times to pull the clips, they always do a master shot from far away when they do the lightning and the thunderbolt and the they're never on the queen. It's always from up above whenever they do it.
All right. And then Grievous says, keep it up, you guys. Thank you, Grievous. Okay.
All right.
By the way, thank you, Gravitas. It's the first email we gotten from you. So thank you for that. Our next one comes from Musing Mark, who says, say it ain't so. Hi, guys. In Drag Becomes Him, the new documentary about Jinx Monsoon, Jinx says that all 3 girls in the top 3 are crowned at the finale. So nobody who attends the recording of the finale knows who won. The true winner is only revealed when the finale is broadcast. Joe, you attended the finale of last year's Drag Race. Can this be true? To me,
you're asking me now?
This is what he says. I didn't know this, so it's not that common. To me, this sucks because when we watch the final episode, the announcement of the winner is a phony moment because the queen doesn't really know if they've won or not. What do you think, Musing Mark?
Yes, it's true. Not only did
okay.
Go ahead.
I can say that we've known about this since the season with Sharon Needles. Because Sharon Needles did go on an interview and said this to everyone then. The reason why it looked like she didn't give a shit when she was announced as the winner is because she was the last one in that 3. The first one, so they did that ending 3 different times. She was the last one, and by the last one, she just couldn't pretend to give a shit. But then that's the one, obviously, because she won.
Yeah, so last year what they did was they did it last year. They did it 4 times. So they did a version where Bianca won, where Courtney won, and when Adore won. But there was also a 4th time when they did it where there was a co-queen, and it was Bianca and Adore shared the crown. And what's funny is they do the whole thing. It's not just, you would think that they would just do, like, we're just going to crown you and they cut in the rep. No, they do the whole thing from the commercial to the end. So all the queens come down and congratulate them, and there's confetti and they're crying and they walk up and down, and then they reset.
They come out and vacuum up the confetti and shit?
I think they just assume you're not going to notice. So then they reset it. They reset it, and then it goes, now it's Bianca, and then they say Bianca Del Rio wins, and everyone goes crazy, and then all the queens come down and congratulate her, and the pit crew dances, and then they do it again. So what's funny though is, and it's something that's and I'll bring this up again in a little bit, but when you're live, and they definitely, when they air it, they do something with the audio, but there were definite favorite queens. And so Bianca Del Rio, I mean, the roar in the theater was only beaten by when RuPaul first came out. And so when Bianca's finale, when she was crowned, it was genuine because everybody really, really wanted her to win. Like, for instance, with Courtney, people were just like, oh, clap, 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 clap. Not that no one wanted Courtney, but they all wanted Bianca. So the roar was, deafening in the theater. So I will say it's close. I mean, they wanted Bianca to win, and so it was pretty close to what it would probably been like if they would have just crowned her. But yeah, so they did 4 last year, and so it's actually kind of annoying.
So here's the question, Joe Betance.
Yeah,
are you willing to take the bullet for the team? Mm-hmm. It means that we would not be able to, like this week, we had to record on Wednesday night instead of Tuesday night. So we were a day later going out. And next week, we would have to do the same thing if you were to go to the finale.
Yeah, if there's still tickets, I'll look. I looked like over a week ago, and I was thinking about it. If I'm just going by myself, though, man, you can always find a 1 ticket, Right. So, yeah, I'd be willing to go. It was very, very interesting. The only problem is, I mean, I didn't know last year that it was going to be 8 hours. So
again, adding another 2 hours.
No, I didn't. It's 2 hours. It was 2 hours in line and 6 hours to tape. And so I'll eat before I go. You're there for a long time.
Take a snack. Take a snack, girl.
I'll take a snack. But other than that, I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's just there's a lot of downtime, you know, because they're resetting. I think the last hour and a half was just crowning the queen.
Yeah.
You know, because they do the whole thing. They got to reset it. It's a whole big giant spiel.
I mean, if you don't want to go, I understand, because that is just a huge chunk out of your life, and I get it. I will make some predictions if you do go. I think the loudest applause, just in general, are going to be for Trixie, Katya, and probably Ginger. I think that's
Trixie, Katya, Ginger. Oh, I think Pearl will get a lot of applause. Pearl's pretty popular, believe it or not. I think actually a lot of them will get. I think a lot of the top ones will get. Like, here's the deal. I'm going to go the opposite. It's going to be really sad for like Tempest and Candy Ho and Mrs. Kasha Davis
and Jasmine Masters. I would be surprised if Jasmine didn't get booze. Actually, it's gonna be
like, for instance, last year's a little weird. So last year, Michelle announces the queens as they come down, and it was noticeable because they get some smattering of applause, because they're there and they're doing it for TV. But, Vivacious was actually really popular. Even though she went home early,
right?
She was actually really, really popular. So it would be like, I don't remember who went home first last year, but whoever went home first last year. And then Vivacious came out and people went ape shit, and then it went right back down.
Yeah.
To like whoever the next person was. So like, what's not Honey Mahogany, but one of those dumb queens like that, and so so that'll be interesting. But like I told you, I'm going to take notes this year, and then at the finale taping I'll discuss what's in those notes. I'll just tell you on Wednesday whether it was good or not.
Oh, so you won't even tell us next week?
I'll tell you limited things. I mean, I won't tell you like I'll be careful about what I say, mostly for spoiler reasons. I don't want to spoil anything. Like, for instance, last year I would have spoiled that who was the girl who used to lift her boob? She got married. Yeah. Would you want me to spoil something like that?
I'm still going to watch it, regardless.
What was her name?
Girl that used to lift her boobs.
She's on wah wah. And she had she was from, I think, Boston too.
Wah, wah.
I don't remember her name. Remember she got married on stage? It shows you how we're so invested in one year, and then the following year we completely forget who they are.
Who?
Are we going to remember who Mrs. Kasha Davis is in a year?
There's always time for a cocktail. Oh, speaking of that.
It was called back, yeah.
Well, not only was it called back, but here's my question about Untucked, which I know we no longer talk about Untucked as a full episode. However, it bugs me that Pearl is drinking what appears to be water, but yet keeps referring to it as a cocktail. So I'm wondering, what does she just not like cranberry or something? Is she like maybe drinking a vodka tonic or something? Because
I thought Pearl's also a recovering person, isn't she?
No, because she keeps talking about how she needs her cocktail, and let's go grab my cocktail. Oh, thank God my cocktail's here. And, and I noticed it this time that it did have a lime on it.
Wait a minute. I may have an answer here. If it is a cranberry cocktail, I may have an answer.
Yes.
As someone who used to be on Prozac, when you're on a psychotropic drug, you cannot have anything with cranberry in it. So if she's on some sort of psychotropic drug,
you can't even listen to the Cranberries. Just like on the radio.
Yeah, you can't even you cannot let it linger.
Right.
Okay. You're not even allowed to let it linger.
If that shows up on your Pandora, you will go into
seizures. You fucking totally went there. You just totally went there. Yeah.
So anyway, you can't have anything with cranberries in it because there's something chemically with the cranberry that makes the medicine too powerful. So you can't have anything with cranberries in it. Oh no, wait. That's grapefruit. No, it might be cranberries. It might be cranberries too. I remember I couldn't have grapefruit. Sorry, it was grapefruit.
Joe, there's no need to argue.
Yeah. Is that a cranberry song?
That's an album time.
Oh. I think it was grapefruit, now that I think about it. I think you can have cranberry. I don't know. Now I just shot my own theory down.
Excellent.
If you're on psychotropic drugs, I think you can still have cranberries.
Now that you've utterly confused all of us.
Well, thank you for joining us for another recap of RuPaul's Drag Race. Visit our website at pride48.com/RDRR, where you can find all of our contact information, leave us a comment, and find all of our old episodes. So, until next week, for Daniel Brewer, Donna Suggarz, Hello Kitty, and myself,
sashay away. Until next week. Bye, kitty girls.